Welcome to Community Connections. I'm Jerome Manigan. My guests today are Christine Weber. That's wrong. That's wrong. It's not Christine Weber. It's Michelle. Okay. Uh, my guest, my guests today are Rose Christian and Michelle Weber, and they will be talking to us about a program that Rose is responsible for starting, Heroin Recovery for You. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here today. Rose, I understand that the organization was founded out of your loss. Can you
Of
tell
my
us about
son.
that? Yeah, tell us about that.
My son, the church next door to where I live at was working with him and saving him and trying to help him. He was doing great. And then a drug dealer saw him down at the grocery store, gave him some freebie, got him started back up, moved him in with them, started having him go and doing, stealing credit cards. And the other guy would go in, the dealer would go into stores and steal them gift cards, and they would transfer them to cash. Because now with addicts, you can give them, if you give them a gift card or a credit card, they can exchange that for cash now. So that's why we do not offer for anybody to give them gift cards.
Okay, so let's understand this. Your son was a drug addict.
Yes, sir.
What drug was he using?
He moved up the ladder from from coke to crack to heroin.
How long had he been a user?
2.5 years.
And he was arrested because of the activities in which he was engaged
Yes.
to support the habit.
Yes.
All right.
Well, he wasn't arrested. What it was, warrant officers showed up at my house that someone gave a tip that he was at my house. And me and my father, my father and myself sat there and decided, we need to get him turned in. The warrant officers guaranteed us that they would get him help instead of a dealer killing him on the streets.
Mm-hmm. And what happened?
They followed me. We finally got a hold of them after 4 hours. They followed me and over in Price Hill, and that's where they picked him up in Price Hill.
So he was picked up,
Right,
arrested,
right.
and then what happened?
He wouldn't talk to me for about a week. After he got through the detox and everything, he started talking to me. He said he was gonna do his time. He wasn't gonna do any of this. Where detectives sit here and say, he had a whole bunch of detectives coming in. We'll drop this case. We'll dismiss this case if you give us the dealer's name that is in doing this. So, and he says, no, I found God. I am going to pay my time. I'm already doing community service to help pay back. And he was doing great. He was on the second floor. He did have problems with one of the guards in the jail because one of the credit cards that he stole was a family member's of his. So he kept trying to get him transferred out of the second floor. Well, he finally succeeded and got him up to the fifth floor. When he got him up to the fifth floor, he wasn't there 7 days. And he was in the fourth floor rec room where they all hang out at. And he had a massive nosebleed. And when he had the massive nosebleed, they says, well, you can go lay in the infirmary, and when we come back at 11 to get your meds, we'll check and see if you're feeling any better. He says, I've put 30 kites in to see the doctor. There's something going on with his amitriptyline. I think it's too high of a level. So I saw him Tuesday, April 13th at 2:30, and the nurse gave him his meds. He gave her another kite and said, I need to see the doctor. Then we finished our interview because he didn't look well. And at 7:30, he had the massive nosebleed in the rec room. They said that, we can just walk you back to your cell then. They walked him back to his cell. I got all this information from McGruffy. She's the one that told me what happened, that they was investigating
Now, who was
it.
McGruffy?
She works for the sheriff's office down there at the jail with O'Neill.
All right.
Okay. And she said they walked him back to his cell. His bunkie went to them 3 times between 7:30 and 11 that something was wrong with his bunkie James. They need to come help. When that didn't work at 11 o'clock when it was time for meds, his bunkie went and got his meds, and they says, well, where's your bunkie James? He needs to come get his med. He says, I told you 3 times he needed help. He's back there deader than the door now. He was in first stage rigor mortis, and they went back at 11:05, and the coroner pronounced him dead at 11:29 p.m.
You have my condolences. That's such a tragic and horrible
Right.
experience for anyone to have to go through. So it was out of your son's death that you were motivated, inspired to start the
Right.
organization Heroin Recovery for You.
Right.
Talk to us about heroin epidemic. There's hardly a day that goes by that we don't see a newscast or read a print article about the heroin epidemic, especially in northern Kentucky. What is fueling this epidemic?
Well, Northern Kentucky, they're cracking down on all of their dealers over there. So everybody from Kentucky are coming to downtown Cincinnati to get their drugs, and they drive back home.
Now,
We
when you
have
say downtown Cincinnati, we've heard so much talk about the redevelopment of over the Rhine and all of that. So, where is this drug activity taking
You
place?
can come right out of the Justice Center and or the courthouse, go right 2 blocks where they do all the community service at, and they're right there on the streets, anywhere you want them.
So, you're saying that it is pretty open and pretty obvious that
Oh, yeah.
drugs are being
Yeah.
dealt,
Oh, yes.
purchased, and so forth and
And we have a police officer that told us that, he has seen drug deals going down right in front of him. The passing of the money, the passing of it. But they are one single officer, so they can't. They know they have guns. And being one single officer, he can't get out of the car and go stop it. Because, there's just going to be a shootout, people around, and that's why we needed the drug task force to start working in the city of Cincinnati.
so. But this drug epidemic, this heroin epidemic, is something that we have heard a lot about over the last couple of years, I suppose, last couple of years. But it seems to me that there was a time when heroin was not much talked about. I don't know how much use there was, but it certainly was not as talked about as it is now. What has happened to change that dynamic? Why are people going to heroin at this time?
Heroin is very cheap. You can get a cap of heroin for the same price as a quart of beer, 6-pack of beer. It is that cheap. You have what they call poor man's heroin that is laced with kerosene and gasoline. It eats the skin from inside out. So we have kids that have been in the jail with staph infection. One boy died. We have a mother that she was in a holding cell for four days, and they never checked on her. She died. We're waiting for autopsy reports back on that one. We have an elderly man that was in his 50s that was living on the streets, heroin addict. He died. But if they don't come forward and get their copy of the coroner's report to find out what happened, then they don't know. Now, the coroner in Cincinnati, Ohio, he put on there that it was an accidental death. But one thing that he did that I don't approve of is he put on there, nurse says he was hoarding his meds. That's hearsay. You can't put that on a coroner's report. That doesn't have anything to do with him. They say everybody hoards their meds. But you sit there and watch them sit there and check their mouth and under their tongue to make sure they swallowed them. So they was giving them amitriptyline. They did say they stopped. We do have an x-ray machine over there. And after it was in a month, we found out, we got one girl out, and she was malnutrition, dehydrated. She was pregnant. She was spot bleeding. She was Rh negative, and the baby was counterreacting with her blood, and she needed a shot. She was in her 2 months, totally ignored, even asking for toilet paper to be able to use as a pad. The kids over there sleeping on floors with no pillows, no blankets. if you go on the page, you could see them in the background just laying there trying to get themselves warm because they don't have no bed or anything. But some of the kids that we work with over there, it's just discussing on what's going on with them.
Now, when you say over there,
Oh, Hamilton County Justice Center.
okay. All right.
We did a protest a couple weeks ago to get drugs out of our jail. And because we found out they're only using the x-ray machine on kids that are coming in through the court system. And when we put that back, had them get that in there back when Mayor Quayle was in, once they put it in, they started giving the kids lithium. That's a seizure medication. That does not have nothing to do with helping a kid for addiction. I mean, it's amitriptyline's the same way. We have kids on video coming out of the jail with their little bags saying, yeah, you can put me on the air. I don't care if they see me. That the psych doctor just throws a book to you and says, what meds do you want to be on? You never get to see the doctor. I mean, we are having so much problem. Most of the jail is full of kids that are addicts. And we talked to Joe Dieter's office when we did the protest a couple weeks ago and told him, you can get any judge in here can get the Vivitrol shot in this courthouse. All they have to do is they get a grant for it. You could start letting these kids out with an ankle bracelet and a Vivitrol shot that they have to come back to you once a month, do testing, make sure they're doing their classes. That's all they have to do. And they're not doing that. They're just serving their time in there, coming back out and using.
We know the end result of substance abuse. Quite often it is death.
Yes.
Very frequently it's incarceration because of the activities people engage in order to support that habit. In your experience, what is the most youthful person you have met who is addicted?
15.
15.
Yes.
15.
Now we have one girl that's in recovery now that she said she started when she was 11, but she's just now 23 and getting help. So, it's getting really, really bad. We have all of our coalitions that's working on the inside with all the kids, but the needle exchange program, help addicts in Cincinnati, help heroin addicts in Cincinnati, Ohio was ran by them. I was the first group that opened up trying to help directly with the kids to get them into assistance.
Let's talk about that. Your program is located. What is your physical address? Where are you located physically?
Our physical address is a Ceiling Museum on Victory Parkway. Even if you turn your child in that he overdosed at the house, if they have a needle there with just a little bit of any kind of heroin in it or anything, they're getting charged felonies. Mm-hmm. All the drug dealers are in and out within 30, 60 days. But all the kids are getting prison. And it's just not right. The system down at Hamilton County Justice Center is just totally backwards.
Why do you think the young people are getting the prison time and the dealers are going back to the streets?
For one, we need the no tolerance law in Ohio. If we get the no tolerance law, it would show dealers, if you don't stop, you're going to get charged with murder, not just a slap on the back of manslaughter.
But that doesn't explain why are the young people going to prison and the dealers are returning to the streets.
It's the way the Justice Center is set, or the courthouse is set up. They come in, they have heroin on them. We have one that he has been in and out of jail as Rhapsody Cheetah so long. He has, for having unlicensed weapons, machine guns, heroin packets on him. He got probation, violated that probation. We have one boy that died within 4 hours of getting his heroin. But Hamilton County Justice Center or Hamilton County Courthouse won't touch it because it's between two districts. They got the cell phone towers pinged And the text is that these two met together at the same, with the cell towers and the way the police work. But with him living in Claremont County, the two police stations will not collide together to charge this man. So we're still going to every one of his court dates that he has over in the over in the Justice Center that he's at now. His brother got out, so now his brother has taken over his thing of being the dealer. We have a couple that mother and a daughter that came over from Kentucky to got drugs. They stopped at a rest area when they got over in Kentucky. They overdosed and died.
You're located on Victory Parkway. What is a telephone number you can be reached at?
513-501-9153. Our office is at Aceli Museum and Institute 411 on Victory Parkway. Every year we hold a spring fling block party where we feed the homeless veterans. Cincinnati Needle Exchange is there. A lot of different kind of groups are there. The last one, Louisville Choir, was there. We now have Ohio Can, Cincinnati, that is helping out with us because we don't have the groups in Cincinnati. I mean, when we did our protests, we have Claremont Solace, we have Cincinnati Solace, but I have been the only one that has worked directly with kids. If you come to the page or you call me, we will get you help and we will stand behind you. The coalitions, they are working in the schools to keep the kids from teaching the kids of the difference of the drugs and everything that's going on is what they're doing. So that's why I work directly with the addicts to try and help them get into recovery.
This is a good lead into my next question. I'm trying to understand what is the difference between your organization and long established organizations that deal with substance abuse problems. The Talbot House comes to mind.
Right.
Prospect House, and that's an old agency.
Right.
And there are any number of other agencies, certainly Alcoholics Anonymous,
Right.
Al-Anon, all of those programs. So how
Yes.
do you differ from those programs?
We stick with them 100% all the way through. If they come to the page asking for help, we find them someplace to get detox and rehab. We have taken them into our own homes to be able to help them, to get them into recovery to where they need to go.
When you talk about them, who specifically are you referring to?
Like their name?
No, not their names,
Anybody
but
that asks for help. Anybody that comes and asks for help. We don't turn anybody away, regardless of insurance, not insurance. If they don't have insurance, we find the money to put them through rehabs. So,
all right, so Michelle, what you're saying is that you do not limit your services to a particular age group.
or drug use, yes.
All right.
We
You
help
are
out
not
all of them.
limited to geographical location.
Absolutely not. I had a girl from Illinois reach out to us on our way here today, and I'm going to contact her as soon as we're finished to get her help.
All right, so accessing your services is just a matter of picking up the telephone and saying, I need help.
Yes.
Yes.
What happens after that?
We find out where they're located, if they have any insurance, what insurance they have, and then we go from there and start finding a place to place them. So them reaching out to us is like their first step saying, help me. So
Now, where are some places that they might find themselves placed?
ARC, the Adams Recovery Center, Northland, House of Freedom of Miracles.
Can you identify where these places are located?
They're all in Cincinnati, Claremont County. We have doctors that work with us. Modern Psych, Dr. Moss and Harriet. She does wonders, and getting these kids on the right track.
Okay. You keep saying kids. And,
To me, all of these guys are kids.
okay.
Since I lost my son,
All right.
okay,
They have all become
I don't
your
care
children.
what other age they are God's children, and they're not ready to go home to God yet. So they are all our kids no matter what. I don't care if they're even older than me.
Okay. So
So
someone
that's a
could
way.
be 60, 70, 80 years old,
Right.
Absolutely.
It's
and
God's child.
and that's still a kid to you.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Because
yes.
I don't want to leave
Right.
our listeners confused.
Right.
When you use that word, they might automatically think teenagers
Right.
or young
No,
adults.
we
Okay.
we help them all. It don't matter what age they are. I just always refer them as kids. Since I lost my son, he went back home to God. So they are all kids of need of assistance, no matter what their age, race, or anything is.
Again, how does your program differ from the long established substance abuse programs?
Well, most of them that come to us, I've been looking up places. They got a week waiting. They have a 2 week to 6 months waiting list. We can't wait that long. So if we can place them in Cincinnati, Ohio, we have sent them to Tennessee. We have sent them to Florida. We have sent them to California. Any place we can get them in. We have pastors, Pastor Allen, Pastor Ron with Celebrating Restorations up in Middletown. So we have someone in every county. Now, Claremont Solace, there is a girl that she's starting to do the same thing up there as us. We have River Rats that's down in New Richmond that is working with all of God's children to get them into recovery centers too.
Now, tell me, what has the response to your organization been from these long established traditional programs? How are they receiving you? How are they working with you?
They're all transitions, new foundations, Talbot House. All of them work great with us. We don't have a problem with them. Some of them, once they get out of recovery to go to like the new foundations, it's $85 a week. They help them get a job, a roof over their head since they're homeless. They're all excellent. They all work with us. We have groups in Kentucky that help us out. We have a lot of Kentucky kids. We have a lot of kids come from Columbus and Cleveland. We help every single one of them out. We don't stop till we find some place with them.
Now,
So,
I understand that in helping them out, you have also been known to go into your personal resources
right.
to be of help
Yes.
to them.
I have used my own income to get them into a place. So all the donations on HR4U, heroin recovery, every single dime, it goes to, if they don't have insurance, we pay for their doctor's visit. We pay for, if we don't make their choice, we let them make their choice of which way they want to go. Even if we don't agree with it, we may let them make their choice. Now we have Dr. Moss out in Hamilton. We have Sojourners. Dr. Moss is really great on taking children in. And if they don't have the money, that they don't have their insurance card yet, they call us. We pay for it so that they can get the help they ask for. So all of our donations go right back into all of God's kids to get them started. The first thing we ask them is, are you homeless? Well, I'm homeless and I'm addicted. But they can get on library computers. That's where they stay warm at. And we send links over to them. Okay, you need to fill out for a welfare card. If you need a ride, we have other mothers and fathers and people that are donating their time to pick them up and take them to the appointments. One thing a lot of the kids do not know, if you have a welfare card, on the back of your card, there's a 1-800 number. If you give them a 2-day notice, they will take you to any doctor or facility that you need to go to get help. If you have a hospital appointment, a doctor's appointment, an NA class appointment, that's where they go through. Now, with us being with a CLE museum, we are getting a lot of help. We have an NA group now. We call them Phil. So, and when they get out of recovery, we send them to him. He gets them the proper legal NA groups for them to go to keep on going with their recovery. We have some kids, well, I feel great. I don't have no urges or anything. I don't want to do the Vivitrol shot. I want to go to the meetings 2-3 times a day. That is excellent. And they all keep in contact with us. So we always have contact with them after the fact. Now, the Spring Fling Block Party, this will be our third one in April that we'll be holding. And all it is everything is free. All the clothing, all the food, all the resources. Cincinnati Needle Exchange help heroin addicts in Cincinnati, Ohio. That they are always there. They give resources also. We clothe them, we feed them, we try and help them in any way we can. We had one last year that didn't have food for her kids. We went to the store with our own money because we didn't have no funds left in the account. And we got her some groceries to last her kids for the week. So every single child we try and help and make sure that we get them into the place they need to go. If they need rides that they can't, okay, well, I've got to go to the ARC, Adams Recovery Center. It's a great place. The women's is out in Milford. The men's department is out in New Richmond. We also have Dr. Catkin and Associates. That if they're a Suboxone, if they want to do Suboxone to wean themselves down, or if they want to stay on Suboxone, we pay to get them on their feet so they can get jobs. We pay their first 3 months, and that's $280 a month for each child. And the medical card covers their Suboxone. So we work with them in any way. We had one that was this morning that has been begging for help. So he finally came back to the page. Sometimes it takes us 3 to 6 months before these kids come back. But, we always go back and check on them. We go all the way back through all of our kids and, hey, how you doing? Can you give us an update? So we try everything to help them out in any way we can.
We're going to have to end this. I am going to invite you back so that we can talk more about heroin recovery for you and the outstanding work that you're doing with your client base.
Right.
But before we go, do you have a web presence?
Yes, we do. We stay on Facebook because that's where all the kids are at. Everybody's on Facebook. So, we stay there. We have a lot of groups that have joined forces with us. Celebrating Restoration in Middletown, Claremont Solace in Claremont. She's starting to do the same thing up there and helping kids with addiction problems and resources. River Rats in New Richmond. We have Ron Calhoun with Heroin Doesn't Care. So we are corporate, and Acelia is our place. But right now, Acelia is in Walnut Hills, and we have a lot of things work that has to be done there. And we don't have the funds because all of our funds go to the kids. And we're trying to get help to get the place up because we want to hold the show Anonymous People for everyone to get people educated.
In our next program, we'll talk more about that and
Okay.
your fundraising activities and so forth and so on.
All right.
For now, we're going to sign off. I'm Jerome Manigan, and my guests have been Rose Christian and Michelle Weber, and we have been talking about their program, Heroin Recovery for You. This is Jerome Manigan. The program is Community Connections.